let's carry on and try and access data in matrices, uh, but do it in a more convenient way for multiple values. So in the past videos, we've accessed data, let's say x, oops, let's define x, and we've accessed x element by element. So we can access element 7, which corresponds to that element over there. We could access x in row column format, so row 1 column 3, and it gives me the same thing. But now say we wanted to access more than one element. Say we wanted to find 7 and 8 in this matrix. So I want to find 7 and 8. How do I do it? Well, I follow the same format, and that is row column order. So x curly round brackets, and then I want to put in the rows, and I want to put in the columns. Now instead of putting just one number in here, I put in the numbers that represent the elements that I'm trying to access, the indices that I'm trying to access. So if I wanted to find 7 and 8, well, that resides in row 2. So in this case I only have one row, and that's row 2. But the columns, I have more than one column now because I want to find 7 and 8. And 7 resides in column 2 and 8 resides in column 3. So how do I give that to MATLAB? Well, I give it to MATLAB in a matrix. So I put the columns that I want to access in a little matrix as well. So I could put 7, 8. Oops, sorry, so not 7, 8, 2, 3. 2, 3. And it gives me 7, 8. So that's the way that we access more than one number, and what gets returned is a little submatrix. It's a block of the elements that I asked MATLAB to return. So I can do rows now. So let's try do rows. Let's say we wanted 4 and 9. So we wanted elements 4 and 9 in matrix X. Well, now I've got two rows. I've got row 1 and I've got row 2, and that's occurring in column 4. Now I get a 2 by 1 matrix representing the elements in column 4, rows 1 and 2. Okay, I could also do something like this. Let's just clear the screen. Okay, let's say I wanted to find 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14. Well, now I've got multiple rows and columns. What rows do I need to represent? Well, it's rows 2 and 3. And what are the columns? Well, it's 2, 3, and 4. So I could do 2, 3, and 4. That should work. I could also do something like this and generate this matrix 2, 3, 4 using the colon operator. So I could do that. I could probably also use linspace if I wanted to. So I could say linspace 2 to 4 in 3 points. That would give me the same thing. I wouldn't recommend using linspace because that actually generates floating point numbers as opposed to integers. But the point is it works, is because what I'm doing is I'm just generating an array corresponding to the columns or the rows that I want to represent. Okay, so sometimes I want to represent more than one. Say I want to represent columns, whole columns. So if I have, say, column Y, let's make a matrix Y, and let's say it's very big. It's a 157 by 8 matrix. I don't know what it is. It's filled with numbers, but for my application, I want all of the elements in the first column of Y. How could I do that? Well, instead of me typing Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, what I could do is I could use another shorthand notation, which is the colon operator. So again, I want to write the rows, and I want to write the columns. I know that I want to access column 1 of this matrix, so I'll put 1 there. But the rows, I want to have all rows, all 157 rows. And a shorthand notation for that is just to use the colon operator. So here the colon operator is being used to represent all rows or all columns in a matrix, and because I've put it in as the first element in these round brackets, it's saying access all the rows in the first column of this matrix, and I get the first column in matrix Y. So let me just check 0.6732. Yeah, 0.6732. So I've accessed the first row, first column in matrix Y. I could also, let's just do one more. So I could do, let's say, the third row in matrix Y. Well, let's do X because it's easier to see. Then it gives me all of the columns in the third row. So it's taking all of the columns in the third row. So that's just a nice set of functionality that MATLAB has built in for slicing arrays, accessing data of matrices. If I want to find whole rows or whole columns, I use the colon operator to do it.